what this is the Department of Education asked us to develop some type of learning content for folks non-traditional students who participated in like career and technical education programs. And so when we were sitting and talking about what we could do, we thought it'd be a great idea to bring some of the DADS Making a Difference participants in, because you've all gone through the career training education programs, and you're all non-traditional students. And so the questions I'm going to ask you today are just based on your experiences in the DADS program as far as the academic setting, and then kind of how that helped or hurt you, what you liked, didn't like, that type of thing. And Chris is videotaping this, and what this is going to do, we're going to send the video to the Department of Ed, and it's going to be on part of an online like learning content for them. So, sound good?
Sound good.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, guys, speak up, because the mic is kind of far from you.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So we gotta shout at each other.
Well, and maybe talk that way.
All right.
Would that help, Chris?
Sure.
Okay. Well,
I mean, as long as you're, like, you're aware that you're speaking loud.
okay.
Don't be
That's
whispering.
fine.
No whisper. So I'll ask you, with that said, I'll just ask you all to introduce yourselves and give me your age.
All right. Daniel Lucero, 36.
Creston Sanchez, 41.
Dustin Shoup, 31.
And what made you first interested in the DADS Making a Difference program?
Just
Dustin,
the
start with
things
you.
that I heard about it, what kind of doors it opened up for my future.
Did you hear about it from a friend or?
I
In
heard
the
about it
newspaper,
like
or-
10 years ago when it first started.
Okay.
But then more recent years I was in a treatment and I seen the pamphlet and made me, think about checking it out. So
That's great. Daniel?
Well, the company I was working with wanted me to move to Denver,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't substantial enough for me to feed a family of 5. So I went to a kids fair and I seen Terry from DADS, and she told me about the program. So, it was cool because I wanted to learn something new. I wanted to learn how to be a carpenter and work with my hands and make money for my family. It was about sustainability.
Okay.
I was at the Cheyenne Transitional Center.
Really?
And I seen a pamphlet there,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard about it before. And so I came to Wyoming Workforce, and they told me the DADS program was all in there. So I went and talked to Terry, and she told me all the opportunities that I could have if I did go into it. And
Mhm.
so I did, and it's helped out a lot.
When you were going through the program, were you still at the transitional center?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I completed it while I was at the transitional center,
Okay.
and got a job while I was at the transitional center at the IBEW
Okay.
through the union.
Great. So I'll ask each of you, DADS Making a Difference does different trainings each class. So what kind of training did you receive?
I received an intro to welding, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical, and we also got the OSHA 30 certification, first aid certification, and NCCER certification. We got basically an intro to the various trades all at once with some safety stuff, which was cool.
How many weeks did it take you?
16, I think, or 17, something like that.
And as you're going through it, did you think that the 16-week time frame was difficult? Looking back, do you wish that maybe it had been a little bit longer so that it was less intense? What do you think about that?
For me, it was kind of it was demanding, is what it was. Now, as far as the length of it, I don't really have an opinion on that because I mean, if you set your, if you're gonna do it, you know what I mean. It doesn't matter what kind of obstacles you're gonna have to jump through. Like, you're gonna adapt to whatever you got going on. As far as the content, when I went through it, I would have preferred to have focused on one area versus the generalization. But since I've completed it and I've gotten a job lined up with Nortrack, not having that certification didn't make a difference. So it didn't hurt me like I thought it would.
Okay, good to know.
So, I mean, but that's probably about it. Like, the welding side of it definitely could use some more time as far as that particular part of the course for us, because we didn't really get that much time to practice it. But the other areas, for what the college had to offer, we was informed well enough.
Okay, good to know. Daniel?
So we did the OSHA 10. I wish we would have did the OSHA 30. That would have been awesome. NCC ER certifications in carpentry, and what else do we do? First aid. For the length of it, I felt it was good, but I also felt like we were at a disadvantage because when we went to the carpentry, it was more about residential. So I can do a house, no problem, sheds, all that stuff. But when I got into the work field, it was about commercial. So, the concrete was the main thing, doing steel footers and all that stuff. Like, that was a brand new world for me that I wasn't introduced into the carpenter. And of course, I had done stuff earlier in my own time, so I kind of knew what was going on. But I think, instead of taking it residential, I would have been more commercial because that's what's hiring in the workforce. Another thing I was thinking of, and I think I just, I can't remember, but, the time that I did in class, that went towards my apprenticeship. So when I entered in, I think I was at a 1 year or 2 year apprentice.
That's good.
Yeah,
That is
so
good.
I think that was the
And
plus.
there's such a big focus on apprenticeships now.
Mhm.
So if you can just get that time, use that time in the program to count towards that's a big advantage.
I think when it came to the search, I had, same issue. The search was, they really didn't come into focus just the time that I worked was for the apprentice. I mean, because the apprenticeship, when you're in the union, they'll train you as much as they want and you'll get your search from there, but.
Yeah.
How about you, Chris? Mine was just like his. I did the NCCER, first aid, HVAC, pipe fitting, plumbing, and electrical, except for we didn't do the welding. It was a 16-week program. Like that question you asked him about, I thought the 16 weeks was perfect.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay. Not too long, not too short.
Yeah, and we got a lot of introduction to a lot of different things, which was good because I got to choose which profession I wanted. At the end of it, we had interviews with like 10 different businesses, and I think I got interviewed by like 4 or 5 of them. I got hired by all 4 or 5 of them. They all offered me jobs, and so I got to choose which job I wanted, and I took the electricians union, the IBEW, and so I'm glad that they had all those options, and I liked the amount of time that the class took.
Yeah.
At LCCC, it was good. So.
Great. Looking back, what was the biggest challenge for you when you were going through the class?
Doing the homework.
Really?
Well, I mean, cause we was in classroom 8 to 5, and then I got bills, so I had to have a job on top of it,
So
so I
you
didn't
worked-
have no
You
free
work
time.
while in the program?
Yeah,
Okay.
like 70-hour weeks, between work and school, so I didn't, when I did get a day off, I wasn't trying to do nothing, I was trying to relax.
Right. How much homework was involved?
Not that much from the LCCC side of things. Now, in the DADS program, they gave out some homework for us from the Coming Out of Poverty book.
Oh, Bridges
Bridges
out
out
of
of
Bridges
Poverty.
Out of Poverty, yeah.
Mm.
So they gave us some homework out of that and some homework concerning like the group work type of stuff, which sometimes, you know what I mean, in all reality of it wasn't so much the time issue, it was more of a issue of remembering to do it before the next week.
Right.
So, I mean, but with having all my time consumed with everything else, it's kind of difficult to keep up on some of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that, the homework. We didn't get to go to LCCC, we had the instructor there from the Casper, the Wyoming Training Center or whatever it's called.
Okay.
So,
I think
they
it's the it was the McMurray Training Center,
Some,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
I think something like that.
Casper?
Yeah, so that was, you did the homework, you would do the book, but then you would have homework and you would have to do a whole bunch of reading. And I wasn't working at the time, so another thing that hurt for me was the financial stability. Like, we were dependent on the gift cards, so we had to make sure that we did good, and that was dependent on the homework as well. So, we got $75 for a gift card, and then I think I was on unemployment, and then I entered into other programs that, that my pride at first wouldn't let me get into, but I got into it. So, SNAPs, and then housing, and then power as well. So, I had to lean on somebody, and that was Wyoming, the state of Wyoming. So,
Right.
but we learned about budgeting real quick.
I bet.
Yeah.
Built-in money management, right? What about you?
It was all the same as these guys, cause I had to work a full-time job too, so, I was doing about 50, 60 hours a week, plus from 8 to 5 in schooling, so it's
Right.
tough. You're busy, but I personally enjoyed it because I was at the transitional center,
Right.
and so it kept me out of the transitional center. So it kept me busy, doing the right things, making the right choices, and
Right.
so it saved me. It was good. I loved it.
What you all talked about how busy you were, particularly you guys who were working. Was the structure something that you thought was beneficial? Just knowing what was kind of prescribed each day or each week going into that, was that something that you found beneficial?
The schedule, the structure of the schedule?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it helped with, kind of helped me teach myself boundaries in my own life, really. Until recent years, I never really abided by a schedule or
Mhm.
lived life in that kind of fashion, so, the schedule was definitely helpful.
It was like being a student again. Like, that's what it was about. As a student, you had your itinerary for that week. Sometimes, we either got behind schedule, not usually ahead of schedule, maybe. But, like, you were a student, so you knew what was going on. I think that was good.
Yeah, I liked it because I think it was Monday and Tuesday or Monday, we'd do the dad stuff.
Mhm.
So they'd have people come in from Equal Justice or My Front Door or things just to help you with your life on those days. And then you'd go to school Tuesday through Friday or something like that. So it was nice to have that, a little change. You'd do the dads for one day and then go to LCCC for the other 4 days. And so it was like that every week,
Right.
So you got into a routine, which I think routines are great, and I liked the routine they had, the schedule.
Going from the classes that you took and then looking back to, when you were just going through school, you're 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, going through school at that age. What are some of the differences that you can think of?
For me or for the?
Well, I'm going to ask everybody
No,
the same
I mean like
question.
for me personally,
Yeah.
mentally, or as far as like the way they did things.
However you want to phrase it.
Well, for me, it's just my mindset, really. I
Yeah.
had a whole different outlook on life. Like, okay, so when I decided to get clean and get off of drugs and decided to change my life, my whole outlook on everything has changed. I don't look at nothing the same way, so I take things a little more seriously.
Mhm.
And my maturity's a little higher, and I'm looking at things through a different scope. So for me, it was a little more serious. It wasn't so much I'm here because I gotta be here, or I'm doing this to appease somebody else. It was more like I'm getting older.
Right.
I don't got much more time to mess around. I just gotta be smarter with my future because I don't want to be 50 and have nothing to show for all them years.
Right. That's a very mature way of looking at it. Daniel?
I mean,
Right.
he's hitting it.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with that
Yeah.
with that the way he phrased that.
When I was going to high school, I was just going to high school to go to high school. And most of the time it was either with friends or it was doing other stuff, but it wasn't for high school. And with this, like there is a camaraderie, so I went there because other dads had the same mindset as me. So they were trying to better their life and get right with their family, their community, with themselves. I was trying to do the exact same thing. So if I missed a class at high school, whatever, but if I missed a class at DADS, that took me back. That took me out of where I was going. Like, I would want to be better. And that was the thing about going to classes with the dads. Like, I knew that if I did this, somewhere in my hard-headedness and my stubbornness, I was going to be better because of it. I mean, yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing. I went to high school. It was easy, so I did the schooling easy. I didn't study, I just did it. But then I went to college and I didn't do no homework. I went for like 4 or 5 years and I almost got a degree, but I would show up hungover or high or something. I didn't care, I wasn't trying.
Right.
When I went through my life and made bad choices, this was my last chance, and I knew I had to do it, and I wanted to do it, and I tried my best. I tried to learn. I wanted to learn,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I did. I was
Right.
ready for it,
Right.
and so you got to be ready and want to do it. Also, you can't just go there and not try. You got to want to do it. You got to. I think it's your own choice. Because if it was 10 years ago,
Yeah.
not a chance. It just wasn't my right time for it, so. But.
Well said. So I want you to think about your instructors and the classes that you went through. Was there anything different that the teachers could have done that would have helped you succeed more?
Communicated with one another about what they had on their agenda. Like, more in particular, like Dolores that did the NCCR training with us and went through that book with us. It covered, it touched on a lot of different traits. And so some of what she did would overlap with plumbing or the HVAC side of it. So if they would have just communicated better with what they wanted to introduce us to and just have their agendas not overlap each other, really. And then the other part, it probably would have made life a lot easier and made more sense is if the people that did the resume writing and stuff, work better with Terry, I guess be the way to put that.
Okay. And just for the video purposes, Terry is the program assistant for the Dad's Making a Difference program.
And she did like she does a lot of the resume writing for us and whatnot. So like there's some conflict because they have their way of doing it at the college,
Right.
and everybody thinks that their way is better than another way, but at the end of the day, most of us went through Terry and used Terry anyway. So to torture us like that was
Hey, this is the information that we need. Daniel, do you have some similar thoughts?
No, I had one instructor through the whole time, and that was Abel Ortiz. And he was from the Wyoming Regional, whatever, contractors or whatever. And I think the good thing with him was he was from a similar past. Like he came out of nothing or out of craziness, and he got his stuff together. So like when he was approaching us, he was saying, "Look, you know this, you got this. Let's go ahead and keep going over this until we show it on the test." And and he would talk to us like, "Look, you know you're doing stupid stuff right now. You need to stop doing that, or else you're going to be in the same comfortable spot that you've always been." So for me, my instructor was pretty good. I wish they would have kept him on. I don't know what happened with that relationship, with the Wyoming contractors, but I thought that with him being there from experience, he helped us out a lot. So.
Preston?
I think I agree with him. Me and him, our classes were, I think, back to back.
yeah.
So we have almost all the same. I agree a lot with him. The communication, I think, is probably the thing that they could work on the most. But it was overall, they did it right. It was a good class. There's not much they need to change for it. You know what I'm saying? The communication, the resumes, the same exact thing when I was there. That's probably about it. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. It kind of gave me options of which one I wanted to choose.
Mm-hmm.
That way I got to choose because if I liked LCCC's, I could use theirs. If I liked Terry's, I could use theirs. So, it's not really, I like the options. I like having options and things, and that did give me options. But the communication probably helped out a little bit for them, but overall it's good.
Well, the next question, I'll start with you. We'll reverse it just to change it up a little bit. You're all non-traditional students, and non-traditional students just mean that you're not the typical age group of what a student is that goes into after high school education, right? That age group's typically 18 to 22, 18 to 25, somewhere in there. So, having gone through what you've gone through, sometimes non-traditional students will go into a program and for whatever reason doesn't work out, that they're lacking confidence. Life gets in the way oftentimes because, as you've all said, you're at a different place in your life and certainly more responsibilities than you had when you're 18, and so they won't complete it. Is there anything looking back that the instructors can do that would maybe help retain non-traditional students that are having those types of challenges? Daniel's smiling. Do you have an answer?
No, I'm like, can you ask that one more time?
Okay. Sorry. Is there anything that an instructor could do differently than what you experienced? I mean, it's kind of a difficult question for the three of you because you successfully completed the program. Did either of you have classmates that didn't?
Yeah.
Okay, and so thinking about maybe that classmate, was there something that the instructor could have done differently that might have helped that person get through the program? Or was it basically just the instructor did everything fine?
They could have done, maybe one of the things they could have done is, there's different ways to teach.
Mhm.
There's different, like, and everyone doesn't learn the same way. So,
Certainly.
you know, if, like Dolores, she went through the book and always had a, PowerPoint or whatever, maybe she could have, maybe they could have done different things, had, maybe someone else wanted to go up there and, do hands-on, do something on the chalkboard or whatever, different types, different ways of teaching, I guess. Because the way that she did it, I liked it, worked for me. But there was a couple guys, one of the guys got kicked out. He'd get real angry easy if he didn't understand it, the way she was teaching it.
Okay.
And so if there's, try different options of, instead of just doing it on the PowerPoint, change it up every 2 weeks. Just so that everyone gets their opportunity, because we're all different. We all learn different, so,
That's a good point. We are all different. We all do learn differently.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, I couldn't even think of anything because, from my dads and my group, they were dealing with their own issues, like they weren't done with whatever they were doing. Same excuses or same, the same drugs or the same people or the same whatever. So, I know that some dads weren't making it through the books, but as soon as they got on the hands-on, they were excelling. And some, didn't understand the hands-on, but they understood the book. So it was kind of building that connection between the two, and showing how you can work with both of them.
Great. Dustin?
So the learning process wasn't really so much the issue for the guys in my group, I don't think. I mean, there was one guy I can think of that struggled with some of the NCCER stuff, like with the tests and whatnot, but I think that was more of a learning disability type thing, because other than that, like,
What again, just for the video, what's NCCR? 'Cause
National Curriculum for Construction. I'll tell you what I mean.
We just know it's NCCER.
It just shows you different, it shows you every skill in all construction,
Okay.
like
Yeah,
every skill that possible.
it's
So is it a skills test?
well, what it is, it's a National Center for Construction. Let's see if it. I don't know, give me half the thing.
That's how they make you click on the link.
Yeah. And the service isn't very good back here. Or at least mine ain't.
A lot of that test, the NCCER, a lot of the things that we studied was not on the test. It was a tough test.
National Center for Construction, Education, and Research.
Okay.
It's nationally recognized.
Right.
Like I said, I mean, a lot of it was basic stuff though that we went over. At least it was basic for me, but I had kind of an understanding for it. But really, a lot of the trouble for a lot of the guys that I was in the group with came from their personal life. They, like you said, a lot of it was substance abuse. They either weren't abiding by the policies of not drinking and drugging, or they didn't, that the one guy that did get kicked out, that's what it was for.
Gotcha.
Whether he just, he didn't want to cooperate with them kind of policy, that'd be the only thing that I would encourage some emphasis being put on.
Okay. So,
We'll talk.
Yeah, I mean, that was really a big issue in my group was the substance abuse and, people being able to just recommit or whatever, and like I understand it to a point, but at the same token, like are you ready to change your life or not? You know what I mean? Are you trying to do this to have a better future, or are you just here to make somebody else happy and get off your back?
And, that's why I say, because I speak to the dads, and I tell them every time, the dads program, you guys will find out if you're about this program or not, like if you're about to change. It will happen, no matter what. It's always gonna happen, and somebody is gonna get weeded out, because you can go through the steps for so long, but, when actions come, you'll know who's ready or not.
They have so many, they have, Terry, Chris, Chuck, and then the lowers, your LCCC, all the class teachers, all the professors, all that. They will find who wants to be in this place at this time, because if you're not ready, one of them's gonna find out that you are, that they'll all find out that you're there every day, 8-9 hours a day. So they, you can see there's gonna be one or two that are not ready, and like we were ready, guaranteed, you just you gotta know if you're ready or not.
that leads to a good question. Terry is the program assistant, Chris is the program manager, and then Chuck provides the counseling services. How are those, I guess in our world, in state government world, we call those services wraparound services. Did you find those helpful as you went through the program?
Yeah, each one had their own little thing that I liked,
Okay.
Like Chuck's counseling, he tried to help us be better people, to find out what's your problems, what's wrong, what's going on. He asked questions, you had to answer them. Terry would do anything for you. Terry's great. Everyone loves Terry. She's awesome.
She's truly one of the nicest people you'd
Yeah,
ever meet
she'll
on
do
the face of
anything
the
for
earth. So-
And, yeah, Chris, she ran the show. She
Yep.
kept an eye on everything, and I liked it how they did. They covered everything. They gave you so many options. Equal Justice came and talked to us. I have children. I didn't have no money and I needed to get a lawyer, so I didn't know anything about this equal justice. So I got a lawyer and got my children back, for every other weekend and all that. Because of DADS,
Right.
They helped me with that. They helped me with the job. All covets of life. They helped me out,
Right.
It was good.
Daniel?
When I first met Chuck, I was like, oh, this guy. But when I sat with him and he looked over, because you have to write a biography, and he read it, and then he looked at me, and then he told me exactly who I was. And the room starts getting smaller and stuff. I was like, man, you're good, He helped me out a lot, building my relationship with my children, with my now wife. I don't know, I owe a lot to him. Terry has helped me out tremendously. So has Chris. I call Chris the mob boss because, she's scary on the outside, but when you need something from her, she's gonna go to bat for you.
Yep.
For me, everybody knows, my wife tore her knee on actually Super Bowl Sunday, and contingency planning, and I needed her to go to the doctors, and I needed a babysitter, and Chuck was there taking her to the doctors, while I was getting my training, or Terry was babysitting the kids, or Chris was helping out, I couldn't get that anywhere else, but they believed in me so much, they wanted to see me succeed,
Yeah, he's right. When they see that you're trying,
Mm-hmm.
they'll do anything for you. Anything. If your car breaks down, if you don't have a job, a full-time job or something, and they'll look for a job for you. They'll do anything to help you out. All three of them are great. And, nothing bad to say about any, not one of them.
Dustin, do you agree?
Yeah, they all three are very good people, you know what I mean? They're willing to do anything for us. One thing I would put some note on is Chuck seemed to be overcommitted sometimes. And so like me personally, I didn't really see Chuck too much outside of our weekly groups. Like I
Okay.
met with him like once or twice in that whole span of time. You know what I mean? And I know that it was supposed to work out a little differently now. They would say that I was probably one of the better participants in my group because I showed up all the time. I was reliable. So for them to see me, they didn't really see me as having any issues and needed anything going on. But a guy like me, I also ain't gonna ask for too much help either. So
Right.
you know what I mean? If I'm struggling,
It's
you
a
probably
tough-
don't know it.
Tough line to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But they all are very talented in their departments. Because, like I said, I did some work for Terry. Actually, I did work for all three of them.
Really?
And, yeah, and when you did get Chuck's here, and you know the information he did have to share with us was so valuable, and a lot of the stuff that they did provide, in like with the TED Talks or the what was that other one? Like The Secret and stuff, you know, some of the information
Secret's
that they pushed out was very beneficial, really.
Okay. So Danny, you made a statement that I thought was interesting. At some point in the program, you kind of come to an awakening, I guess. No matter who you are, as to whether or not you're truly ready to make that change. So I'm sure each of you at some point in your respective programs had something occur that presented just another challenge, was kind of overwhelming, difficult experience, and in your opinion, what's the best way to keep that student's motivation up when the student's going through something like that? Danny, you said that your now wife tore her knee in the middle of your program. So in order for you to stay focused and motivated on finishing your training, everybody kind of gathered around to lift you up a little bit more during that short time frame.
I got something for that one,
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
go ahead.
One thing that motivated me to continue doing what I was doing, and I think would help people that are maybe not doing the straight line, you know, screwing up a little, was like when you would come talk to us, and there was other people that would come talk to us and tell us about what this program can get you to. It reminds you that, you know, he came and told us about the job he got, you know, how his life's great, doing good, everything's going good, because he did all the steps, you know, with the classes. So having speakers come talk to us helped me, you know, because I was like, oh, maybe, you know, because you're in there for, you know, 16 weeks, you kind of forget about the end result, because you're so busy working and doing all that. But, you know, he came and said he's got this job and his family's doing great and they got a house and good things are happening. So it motivated me, you know, and maybe it motivated some of the other guys that weren't quite there, and maybe it did help them get through that last leg, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what it.
So somebody who's already been through it, coming and talking to you,
that,
has lends itself some credibility.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Good to know.
I mean, when I seen what Jeremy was doing, I was like, man, Jeremy Ward.
Jeremy was an alumni who
Yeah.
came and talked to your class.
And I was like, I want that. And he spoke about the secret and the vision board. And, you know, I have a vision, you know, and it's crazy how some of that's actually happened now. But for me was the support. Like, it didn't matter how I came to there. I never came off the drugs or anything. How I came to the program, like there was people there supporting me, and I was supporting them back. Like I really do believe in this camaraderie between my brothers. You know what I mean? That's why I go speak to different programs. Like Dustin, man, you could tell just off point he was on it from this last group. You could just tell, and that's what I get to see when I talk to these dads. Like I get to see who's really about it. And the other ones that don't, you're like, look, you may not be about it today, but I'm gonna be here. Like anytime you ever need me, come by, talk to me. I'm always there for you. You know, so the support for me was what it was. It was awesome.
Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a time when you couldn't get a hold of somebody, whether it be Chris, Terry, Chuck, one of the other dads. There was always somebody that you can call on in the time of need or just whatever. You know, if you needed a ride, didn't matter what it was. The level of support from most of the people involved was more than you could expect, really. At least for me, it was more than I could have expected from anybody. Come from a background of not having many people to count on or look to for support.
Or take a chance on you.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first things they told us was, you guys got each other, call them, call each other. If you need a ride, help each other out. And that was going on nonstop. You know, there was someone's car broke down or their kids needed, you know, they had to take their kids to school in the morning, and then their wife needed the car, so they need a ride. So, you know, I gave a lot of people rides, you know, to class every day. One guy I gave a ride to and back to his house every day, you know. But that's what they told us though from day one was help each other out, we'll help you. So you do have everybody. I mean, you have 15 people that will help you, you know.
Yeah.
And even the ones that weren't fully committed, they were still there. They would have helped you for anything. It was a pretty good little group that I had. Anyway.
What's the most positive thing that happened for you in the program? Was there any, I mean, you've all mentioned a lot of positive experience, but was there one experience in particular that you look back on and just really just kind of gravitate towards that one?
Kind of had a reoccurring event that happened more than once with the guy that was supposed to be here with us. He, my reputation before any of this wasn't very good. I mean, known for being locked up all the time, being strung out, just, you know, not known for doing anything worthwhile. And Randy, he, one of the dads at the graduation, he made a point to recognize me and my efforts. And I don't know, you know, I'm not used to that. I'm not used to having people look at me in a positive light. So that I don't know, that was probably one of the biggest things that kept encouraging me to keep doing what I'm doing, because there's been other people in my life that have shined some light on that progress as well, but it just to have that recognition sometimes, you know, even though it's not wanted, it definitely makes a difference. And that's probably the one thing that shined out.
I think that's just, I don't think you're alone in that. I think everybody likes to be recognized, no matter who they are. It's just human nature. But the fact that that's something that you remember really fondly is very cool. Daniel?
I like the recognition. For me, two things is the graduation ceremony, like having people there and dressing up nice. Of course, I had a jacket that didn't fit all the way. But having the family there, friends there, everybody there, that was amazing. Graduation. And then for me, myself, was we had this thing where it was emptying the jug, and there was other stuff like that, well, I can think of a whole bunch of stuff, but building that connection with my family. Like, when I was working at that other place, I was working a lot of hours, and I usually didn't have time off. And you know, I didn't really get to know my son in his first couple of years, and I learned what it was like to, you know, interact with your family, with your kids, with your wife, your spouse. Like, you know, I took her for granted, you know, and that's one thing that I'll never forget. You know, she was lucky to have me, and through the program, like, I realized, man, I'm lucky to have her. She's by my side. She wants to be with me, and she takes me for who I am, not who I don't know. Like, even she sees something that what I could be too. You know, just building my family. That was the most amazing thing, because I was all about me, selfish, me. You know, how can I get this? How can I get that? And I will never forget that. I'm a family man because of the program now. I do all types of stuff with my children: Boy Scouts, football, baseball. We go to church. Like, when I was living my life, I wasn't about church. You know, they used to say, if you're scared, go to church. Like, I was never scared. You know,
Right.
different life. You know, different lifestyle.
That's great. Preston?
There's probably two things. Of course, the job that I got. I never thought I had a career for 10 years, and then I got divorced and started making bad decisions. Lost my job, lost everything, went to prison, lost everything. I never thought I'd get another career. They gave me the opportunity, you know, graduating with the introduction to, and I always wanted to be an electrician. My dad told me, be an electrician, you can go get a job anywhere, you know, if you be an electrician. He always told me that. So I always wanted to do it, kind of. And I never thought I would. After the past 5-6 years of what I've gone through, I never thought I'd get another career. And when I got that job through the union, it was one of the best days of my life. You know, I got an opportunity. I got another chance. I didn't think I'd have that chance. Was when I get that job, was one of them. And then the other was, I told you guys about the equal justice, how I didn't have no money, and my ex-wife has the kids. You know, I didn't think I'd be able to see them, or, you know, get my custody back with them every other weekend. And equal justice, they got me a lawyer. I didn't have to pay for it because I was broke, obviously. And so I got a lawyer, went to court, and now starting, I think, in February, I get my kids again every other weekend for the first time in 2.5 years, you know. So that's the best one, you know,
Yeah.
to get my kids back, you know. They were 13 and 8, and I can't wait to get the connection back with them, hold them.
How
play
exciting.
with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good kids, and I can't wait. So
That's nothing beats that.
yeah.
So, we only have a few more questions.
It's okay.
How, looking at your classes, the career and technical education aspect of it, think, in your mind, in your opinion, how can non-traditional students who aren't of the typical age, benefit from going through a career and training education program like the one you guys went through? It's not, I don't mean that to be kind of a confusing question. The career training aspect is more hands-on, right? It's not like sitting in a classroom going through calculus or accounting or something like that. So you guys all successfully went through it. What are the things that maybe you liked about it as opposed to, you know, your traditional academic setting when you went through high school?
I think since we're, you know, non-traditional students, we're a little older, so we've all worked. We know how to work. We know how to, you know. So all the construction class, the HVAC, you know, I knew how to do it just from my experience. So, but I didn't have no paperwork that said I knew how to do it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
So the schooling was easy. I worked construction and I was a miner, you know. So I knew how to do it, and so it made it easier for me as a non-traditional student. If I'd have done it 20 years ago when I was 18, 19, it would have been hard. It would have been difficult, so.
So the life experiences
Life
that you
experience.
got from the time you were in high school till the time you got to the program actually helped you
Yes,
in that.
big time.
Interesting. Daniel?
You know, for me, well, the job that I have now, I get to see the high schoolers and help them with that transition. I think what made it easy for me with this program was the transition piece. Like, you weren't just getting a training in carpentry, you were getting training in carpentry and then also dealing with your community, dealing with your family, dealing with interviews, resume, financial literacy. Like, we did all that program in there, so it was another piece to our armor that we could take into that transition. You know, so, you know, in high school, I don't think they're really set up for that, you know. It's the books, and then you go to wherever you're going, and you're like, okay, I got a plan, but as soon as you get in there, you're like, I don't know if I really want to do this, or yeah, this is awesome, but for this, life experiences allowed me to know this is what I want to do. I can take this piece from my past, this piece from my past, and utilize it as well, and then get some more training, and then go from there. So it was a good transition.
Dustin?
Basically what they've said about it, you know, being able to get the opportunity to get an idea of what I'll be doing, where, I mean, because the book will only teach you so much. So, you know what I mean, just because it sounds good when you read it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be something you wanna do for the rest of your life. So, I mean, that'd probably be the thing that was most beneficial about it, being able to do some actual hands-on stuff and have a little bit of an understanding of what that kind of work is really about. Whereas, you know, just with the NCCER, it was all book work, and you know what I mean. So you really didn't get an understanding of what construction work was about from that experience. But it's like the welding. I mean, you got put right in the lab, and there you go. See if you can run a bead and figure it out. And you know, we did some troubleshooting on some heaters in the HVAC part, and we ran some pipe on some of the apparatuses in the lab area, and so I mean, just being able to actually experience what that line of work might entail.
And the body aches that come after.
Did you like the hands-on more than the book work?
I'm kind of like what he said. You know, I mean, I have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas, so for me it was more of a, because I got a building fence before this, and I mean, I'm making good money doing it. I was a foreman. Ran into some issues with the owner, because like he's a real proud guy. I'm a real proud guy. I'm over here making the money. Like, I got the experience to keep things rolling, and you know what I mean. Like, we had some conflicts at one point, and I went about losing my job now, just got to the point like I don't want to continue to work for somebody like that, making somebody else money and not having a career to go off of it. So I mean, coming into the program for me was a way to get in the door with some of these other companies that offered what I was looking for, but intimidated me because of my background.
Okay. If you had one thing to share with someone who was considering applying for the program, what would it be?
Great reference. The things that the program has to offer isn't just training. Played a huge part with the job I got lined up at Nortrack. Like I said, I don't have the welding certification, but I got a job welding. And like Nortrack was one of the bigger companies that played a part in our group. Like they had the best. While Luke over at Advanced Comfort, he had a pretty good tour too, and he represented his company well at his company tour, but at the employer panel as well as Nortrack. But I went to the job fair you guys have here a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and actually reapplied to Nortrack, and I had a job the next day. A lot of it had to do with the fact that Lilia from Nortrack has worked with the DADS program and all the background that the DADS program had to offer. So, I mean, worst case scenario, at the end of the day, you're gonna get lined up with a good job with some benefits and, you know, something that offers some sort of future rather than working a dead-end job, building houses or, you know, working for somebody that all it is a paycheck at the end of the week.
That's great. Kristen?
It's not just one thing, it's that they, like, if you want a career, you want to be a better person, you want to be a better dad, you want to be, you know, I mean, it covers your entire life, everything that you know, it does a lot of things for you, not just your career, but who you are, the way you treat people, the way, you know, it'll teach you more things than anything else you can do. I don't know anything out there that'll, besides this DADS program, that'll do anything like this. I've never heard of it, you know, that
Yeah.
can give you a job plus work on you, make you a better person, make you, you know, and they give you opportunities, they give you, it's just, it makes your life better.
They try to address both sides of the coin, not just the financial side with the job. Try to help you with personal growth.
Yeah, personal growth there.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. You know, I'm in the position now, my job now, because of the reference, because of what they seen me do, because they see me a part of this program. You know, and I fully believe it. Like, they made me believe in myself, or maybe they even made, but I believe in myself now, and I wasn't there before. I was below the line, right?
Yeah.
I was below the line. But they took, you know, that somebody's gonna take a chance on you, as long as you're willing to take that chance yourself. Leap of faith, right?
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
What?
The leap of
I
faith?
did the leap of faith.
I did not Not me. I did like 3 of them. That was it.
Is that the ropes?
Yeah.
The power pole.
Yeah. I didn't go through DADS, but I did the ropes course 14 years ago, and I didn't do the leap. Okay, last question, guys, and I can't tell you how enjoyable this has been, really for me. But what do you? How long has it been since you graduated, and what are you doing now?
I graduated twice from the DADS program. The first one was in March, and then the second one I think was in February, and then June, I believe, was my second one.
Last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, June of 2019. Since then, I got out of the transitional center. I completed that. I got a job through the electricians union here, the local
IBEW?
IBEW. I got me a house, all full furnished. Got me I got a cat there. It's my girlfriend's cat, it ain't mine.
Sure.
I like dogs too, and now I like cats.
I like both dogs and cats too.
I went and got all my stuff from Green River out of my storage unit. Got my camper here, my motorcycles, my 4-wheeler. Everything's, full-time job. My life's good, I'm happy. And soon I'll be out getting my kids here soon, so.
And you'll be happier.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So my life's changed since I started the program until now, complete 180, so I'm happy and life's good, so I'm clean and sober, and so doing good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Daniel?
I'm kind of the oddball. So I think 2015. Was it 2015? I don't know. Maybe it was 2017. I think it was 2017. I don't know.
I think it was 15.
Was it 15? So I went through the union carpentry. I was working with Jay down on the state capitol, which was freaking amazing. Like, I was in shape, but then after a couple of months, I had some chest pain. So they found out that I was muscular, and I had to look for a different type of work.
Oh,
Yeah, so, that contingency planning, I kept coming to the workforce center, looking for jobs, applying to jobs every single day. I lived there 8 to 5. And they seen that I was looking for a job, and they told me to apply for a division of vocational rehabilitation. So I applied for admin assistant, and I got the job. And I showed them how good I work, and within a year, they hired me to be our coordinator, which is that first position in the state of Wyoming. So I've been there for about a year and a half in the VR coordinator. Right now, I am working on my bachelor's in social science, which is crazy because I'm 36 years old and I'm actually going to graduate I'm going to be one of the first out of any of my relatives to graduate from, a college.
yeah.
Like, that's mind blowing.
Right. As you're going through that, I mean, you've gone through DADS as a non-traditional student. Now you're going through a college program as a non-traditional student. Are there any similarities and any differences?
Yeah, the similarities are communication, there's support there. People want to see you succeed, and all it took was me meeting with one guy over at UW and say, look, take a chance on me, and he did. So, and then they heard that I went through the DADS, made a difference in that VR, so there's a lot of similarity in that. I think the thing that's different is a lot of it's up to me. I gotta turn in this homework. I gotta stay up at 11 or 12 at night to get this assignment in and then come into work the next day,
Yeah.
Like this semester I'm taking 2 4,000 classes, 1 3,000 class, and that means I'm not gonna be around the children as much, but I'm gonna do my homework right next to them while they're watching cartoons or making dinner and stuff like that. So, just knowing if this doesn't happen, contingency plan, backup plan. But I mean, I never thought that I could do this, and here I am actually gonna be able to walk this spring. Like, that's crazy to me.
So the DADS program actually kind of instilled some confidence in you
Yeah, because
to proceed through more academic path that you kind of had to because of physical.
yeah.
Trampolined you to it.
And yeah, dude, and I got married. I got married in December. What kind of crazy stuff?
Dustin?
I graduated just in December. And
Just last month?
Yeah.
I was at your ceremony.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't go to all of them like I used to, but I go to as many as I can.
Yeah. So I graduated last month, and like I said, like 2 weeks ago, I think, or a week and a half ago, I came here to the job fair and got my job lined out with Nortrack as a welder. And I mean, since I was in the program, moved into my own place, got food in my fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, me
great.
too. As you can see.
So some of the things, you know what I mean, like a year and a half ago, I was strung out, didn't have a place to go, didn't have no food, you know what I mean. Now here I am, I've got over a year clean, got my own place, furnished, I got internet there, the heat's on.
You're not gonna be big time if you got internet.
You made it.
I got food in the house, you know what I mean. I've been working at McDonald's since I started the program, and I still got that job until the other one gives me a start date. But I mean, really, like, I can't complain because I'm so much further than I was a year ago.
Yeah.
A year ago I was in treatment. You know what I mean?
That's a pretty massive change in a short amount of time. Yeah.
It happens like that. A trampoline, right?
Yeah.
It just happens like that.
If you want it, it's there. Go get it.
You gotta want it.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
you can't want it for me.
That's great. Well, thank you, all three of you, so much for taking the time, and I know you're all busy and working and families, and so for the three of you to take the time to come in and do this today is very much appreciated, and it's just, I can't tell you just how proud I am of all three of you guys. It's amazing.
Yeah, 'cause,
And you should be proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
you know, I gotta say thank you because this started with you, right? You were one of the ones that started this
Well,
program.
it did. It started 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago. I was driving with my then boss to Evanston, and we were talking about how the Climb program, right? The Climb Wyoming program. And just how phenomenal it is, right? And the success rate that they have, and just the differences that they've made in so many single moms' lives. And we were like, there's nothing for dads out there, you know? Why don't we start something? And luckily our bosses allowed us the flexibility and time to, and said let's give it a shot. And so here the program is, and the program only succeeds because of its participants, right? So, and like you said, Daniel, when you come back, when the alumni come back and talk to you, and now you go back and talk to these guys, and now you two guys are probably going to be asked to come back and talk to future classes. I mean, it sustains itself that way. And when we started, I wasn't a dad, and I wasn't married, but I'm married and a dad now, so I get the changes that happened in a short amount of time with this program. But yeah, that's all it was. Is we just we recognized the importance of being a dad that our respective dads had on our lives, and so what could we do to maybe be a Climb Wyoming for dads? And it was seriously, we started with a wing and a prayer, and Chris Wiederspan deserves all the credit in the world for taking it to places that I never even thought it could go.
Changed awesome. Changed
Oh,
so many
he
people's
is-
lives.
Oh, she was in there on those initial talks when we wrote up, we were writing ideas on a whiteboard. And Chris has been a part of it from literally me and this guy who were driving to Evanston. She was the third person we talked to and said, do you want to be a part of this? And she said yes. And she's been a part of it ever since.
Chris is awesome.
She is.
Good.
And you call her the mob boss. I'll agree with that one. But thank you all three of you for coming in today, and much appreciated.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I had fun doing it.
Yeah.